Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. It's October 29th, and we need some order in this damn chat room.
It is the witching hour. The church bells have tolled 9 chimes in the center of the township.
I am Judge Tim here today with Zombie Lance.
I'm absolutely normal Lance.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Look at everybody. God, welcome to the Halloween special. This is our first Get Vocal Halloween special. We've taken the liberty to hijack the True Crime Thursday and just have some fun with Halloween. It's the 29th. It's the Thursday before Halloween. I don't think I've ever looked forward to Halloween before this much since I was a kid.
Yeah. I definitely don't look forward to it much at all anymore. I wear this wig hat, wig, a little bit of this judge wig, and that's fun. And that's, seeing my kids dress up, that's fun. But yeah, what are you going to do?
Well, I don't know if there's going to be any trick-or-treating. So we moved and we're in a home and we're in a neighborhood, and we thought this would be so fun. We're gonna have trick-or-treaters and we'll give them candy, but I don't know what's going on in the town. But anyway, all of that is irrelevant. We're here now with the best people to ever join us on a Thursday night. This is our Halloween special. And Tim, yes, this is a bit of a surprise, not because I wanted to keep it a secret, but because I read the story that you're about to hear, and it's going to be so much funnier having it, to experience it for the first time.
Okay.
So the story you're about to hear is probably going to be about 10 or 15, 20 minutes, and it's read by a cemetery troll. And the cemetery troll, Pi Rational, is in the chat here. The cemetery troll was the main character in the story, a brief love memoir of a cemetery troll. That was season 4 of Pi Rational Stories. We're on season 5 now, wrapping up the feeding. And the cemetery troll wanted to read this new story that was written by Pi Rational. It's a Halloween story, exclusively for you and I and the podcast and the community in general.
Cool. How awesome.
Yeah. And it is chilling, it is funny, and I fully expect to pop the microphone here on mute, have my Oktoberfest, and enjoy the cemetery troll. So do you want to have the cemetery troll come on now? Then we can
sure
get the show going.
Let's do it. Let's just get right into it. Yeah.
All right.
How's everyone doing tonight? We got the chat room is full. We got Greg Overacker in the chat room. Jillian Kuzma's in there. Tiger Lily. We got Devin. Hey, Danny Scott. What's going on?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Maybe just a little bit louder.
All right. How about that?
Oh, sounds good.
It's good.
Louder still?
If you can go louder, go louder.
I don't know why it's so quiet.
Sounds good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've just woken up from my slumber. Lance, you look absolutely ravishing.
Thank you, Cemetery Troll. You're looking quite good yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for taking the time out of your morning, Cemetery Troll, for joining us here, because it's nighttime here for us.
Yes, that is the best time of day. I like to go out and grab up some grub.
Very good.
Can you hear me good enough? Do you hear me well enough? Shall I?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good. Everyone here.
It's my first time using this vocal.
Thank you to Miranda for the V coins.
Oh yeah, Miranda, 500. Thank you. That's cool. All right. Well, I'm ready to hear the story whenever you're good to get into it, Cemetery Troll.
Ready as ever. Here we go. That Halloween Podcast by Pi Rational Writer. It was typical for Tony and Leo to receive all sorts of stories, some crazy and some barely interesting, others almost unbelievable. It was not a surprise, then, to have a particular story come across the Crawlspace network one sunny October day. It sounded too bizarre for them to consider it seriously, and if it wasn't coming directly from an acquaintance of a good friend, the two would not pay it much attention. The email that came their way was marked urgent. Tony and Leo called the contact provided to them by the friend, and a day later they were having a conversation. They spoke for a long time. Tom Billman, the contact that reached out to them from his commodious bed and breakfast in Connecticut, insisted that his story was true. That sometime before Halloween, a mysterious podcast popped up, seemingly out of nowhere, and nobody could trace it. Anyone who listened to this podcast, which only had one short episode, ended up with strange, unexplainable symptoms. The whole thing sounded made up, but Tom Billman swore he was telling the truth. So, have you listened to it? Leo wanted to know. I mean, I would give it a go if I knew where to find it. Yeah, I am a little curious myself, Tony chimed in. Even better, Tom Billman said quietly, as if worried he would be overheard. Right before the podcast disappeared, I played it again, and I recorded the whole thing. I just sent it to both of you, actually. There was a pause. All right, well, let's do it, Leo said enthusiastically. No, Tom Billman said quietly. No, I can't listen to it again. Why don't you do it yourselves? Only... He hesitated. Only what? Tony asked, after another long pause. Only, once you do listen, there is no going back. I hope you both understand that. So, what are your symptoms? Tony asked, if you don't mind telling us. There was a sigh on the other end, but Tom Billman stayed silent. Tom Billman? The phone suddenly went dead. They tried calling him back, but it went straight to voicemail. There was nothing else to do but listen to the mysterious podcast episode. The episode was only 5 minutes long. The thing was a typical musical entrance, followed by a brief intro done in a smooth, quiet female voice. Welcome to the scariest podcast you will ever listen to. Listen. Listen carefully. The voice said softly as it trailed off. There was silence. After another 30 seconds, the two podcasters exchanged a look. A minute passed, and one could almost make out the sound of static. Leo turned up the volume, but nothing else happened. Are we missing something? Leo asked, slightly annoyed. Shh! Tony responded. I can hear it, can't you? Indeed, there was a sound that started to materialize in the noise of static, as if forming out of something, out of nothing, into a segment of imagination. They listened, their faces intent, clinging to every note. Before they noticed the intensity of sound change and shift, the episode was over. Leo and Tony looked at each other, both faces pale and full of anxiety. That was eerie. Tony finally broke the silence. Yeah, what was that voice saying? Did you catch that? The voice. I must have missed that. The laughing was too loud. Did you say laughing? Leo and Tony stared at each other for a second. Let's listen to it again, Tony suggested, and they did so several times. Yet each time Leo heard the mad whispering, something that went on as if the speaker was talking another language, while Tony heard an erratic laugh, the kind encountered at a madhouse. This is freaking me out. Leo admitted later. "It's probably a prank. Let me Bing this." He opened his internet browser. "Well, anything?" Yeah," Leo replied. "There's actually quite a bit here, but mostly the same message, all coming from many different people." "What's the message?" "It says, no matter what, don't listen to the Halloween podcast." Pardon me. Later that evening, Tony was out for a walk with his Doberman, Newton. It was a brisk, clear evening, with the wind picking up in small gusts here and there, carrying leaves and other debris along the empty, dark streets. Halloween was around the corner, and the trees, nearly empty of their colorful foliage, stood half-naked, hiding in the shadows of the quickly receding day. Their branches rubbed against each other ominously. The sound of screeching was heard bouncing off each house. Tony walked through the dark street, the noise of his feet mingling with the sound of trees and wind. Newton sniffed at the air next to him, suddenly anxious and uncomfortable. "What is it?" Tony leaned over the dog when he noticed a shadow on the street. Long and oddly shaped, it was hard to miss. He had walked that street many times, but never noticed it before. He stared ahead, wondering what could cast such an odd form, when suddenly the shadow shifted. Tony moved on, refusing to pay it any attention. Besides, there must be a million explanations for what could do that. He narrowed his eyes and stared ahead into the darkness. Newton shifted and made a noise next to him. "What's that in the distance?" Tony asked himself quietly. He stared into the distance, trying to make it out. "Never mind, it's just a tree," he said, as he relaxed and resumed the walk. Yet there was something sinister in the shape he It appeared here and there along the street, as if following after Tony. At the door, Tony glanced back, making sure the shadow was gone. But it wasn't. It stood outside the door, onto the stairs as if pretending to be something else. Newton growled. Tony closed the door behind him and locked it. It was time for bed, and Tony figured he was too tired and needed some rest. All throughout the night, the shadow lurked around Tony. He saw it just out of the corner of his eye, as he turned or happened to look by the door or the wall. He paid it no attention until he woke up in the middle of the night to the same sound of the erratic, deranged laughter that he heard earlier. It came from the corner where the familiar shape lurked. It seemed to grow and elongate. It traveled to the ceiling, the sound of laughter shifting their weight. Tony turned the light on with a shaking hand, only to see nothing out of the ordinary in the room. It happened again and again, several times, until the morning finally set in, and the darkness receded for good. At the Crawlspace studio, he told Leo about what transpired that night. Leo looked tired and pale. He nodded when Tony spoke, as if he already knew how the story went. "Something very similar happened to me," he admitted. "Only it was not a shadow. I kept dreaming I was at my parents' house, the one I grew up in. There was a crawl space there in one of the rooms, a crawl space outside. I kept dreaming that a soft whisper called to me, and I creeped through that space. As I entered the crawl space, the walls narrowed, and I would get stuck, completely unable to move. Then a crazy whisper would come from all directions, and I felt nails digging into my skin deeper and deeper until I woke up." "Well, that sounds terrifying," Tony replied. He looked even more anxious now. "The dream happened again and again until it was finally morning, and then I found this." Leo extended his arms toward Tony and displayed fresh scratches. "Did you get in your sleep?" I don't think so. This is where I felt the scratching in my dream. It was all too much, so the two had to take a few gummies from Boston Green Health to calm down. They even used the promo code I20 to get 20% off their order. That's capital P, lowercase I, 20. Tony and Leo decided to call a good friend of theirs, George Undertaker. George was a PI and could find anything about anyone. In addition, George was a big fan of the paranormal and the unexplained. He often worked with psychics and mediums to get to the bottom of cases that had gone cold, and they were always dependable. If anyone would understand what's happening, it would be him. The podcasters told him about the Halloween podcast and its mysterious nature without going into too many details. George asked many questions and promised to get to the bottom of it. Just remember, Leo told him before they hung up, no matter what, don't listen to that podcast. In the meantime, the Crawlspace crew decided to ask among their network in the hopes of getting some answers. They were interviewed by another show, Even the Podcast is Slightly Timid, whose creator Josh had experience with the unexplained. I've heard of something like this, actually, Josh said in his smooth southern accent, his manner somewhat pensive, when Leo mentioned it at the end of the interview. I wanted to do a series on it, but all I had was one story and not much to go by, so I had to abandon the project. But I did make a sweet logo. What's the story? Tony asked. There was this writer, I guess. Josh cleared his throat. You guys heard of Ray Jenner? It does ring a bell, Tony replied. I think he wrote a true crime novel, is that right? Yes, the same one, Josh replied in his calm southern voice. He wrote a book called True Crime Fanatic, and it was really popular. But then something happened. Did it have something to do with the Halloween podcast? Leo asked. Kinda. Josh's voice was quiet, despite the intensity of the conversation. He was investigating all sorts of odd podcasts when I interviewed him. He was absolutely obsessed with this one that sounds just like how you're describing it. But as soon as he got into investigating it, all sorts of weird things started happening to him. What kinds of things? There were many. I honestly don't recall them all. It was a while ago. The one that stood out to me was about Ray's appendix. Did you say appendix, like a body part? Leo asked. Yeah, Josh responded. You see, he got it removed just before he got into all this investigating stuff, which was normal enough thing, but, well, turns out he started having the worst possible pains, kind of like the appendix was still hurting him. Even though it was actually gone? Tony asked. Yeah, and what's worse, when he got the doctor to take a look again, and that was weeks after the operation, it turned out the appendix was missing, but the side of his stomach was inflamed and he was sick, as if it was still there. That sounds horrible, Leo chimed in. What did he do? There was a silence on the other end. I really don't know. Ray Jenner disappeared after that. I have no idea. Well, that's unsettling, Leo responded. The interview was over, and Leo and Tony decided to grab some lunch. They talked on the way to that deli. Does that freak you out? That appendix story, I mean? Tony's voice was cheerful, as it always was, and as if... Let me go back. Tony's voice was cheerful, as it always was, and if he was full on anxiety, he did not let it show. I don't know, the whole appendix thing sounds kind of made up. But after what we had experienced, is it really that far-fetched? I guess not, Leo admitted. I guess I just have a hard time rationalizing that kind of stuff. Thinking that maybe it was Jen messing with us, still angry that we had to fire her. I thought about that too, Tony admitted. I even thought that maybe it was the Crawlspace devils, Julian and Michelle, messing with us. They usually do, but it just does not sound like them. The devils are usually very elegant and smart in the way they commit their atrocities. This just does not them. I agree, Leo said. They remained silent the rest of the way, each thinking of the story and not daring bring it up again. Several days went by, and their night terrors intensified. Each night, the shadow got closer and closer to Tony, until one night he could almost feel the miserable cold that came off its form. Leo, on the other hand, having the same Crawlspace dream, except each night the walls were much tighter, so tight it was impossible to breathe, and the scratches more and more violent. After almost a week of this, both podcasters were at the end of their patience and exhausted from lack of sleep. To make sure nobody else could be hurt by that Halloween podcast, Leo and Tony decided to alert the rest of their colleagues. Sandra, who was helping out with Missing Frames, a podcast about priceless frames that went missing several years ago, was very concerned. "What can I do to help?" she asked, while her cats Avocado and Apple meowed in the background. "Please, just avoid that podcast, and if you get something via email or a message, no matter what, do not listen to it," Leo insisted. Rita from Die Chatter wanted to help with research, and the crew gladly accepted that offer. Chet from Felon Objective promised to speak to the felons about the podcast in hopes that more information could be uncovered. Over Confidential LA podcast wanted to classify the podcast information, but Tony talked them out of it. Slaughter Was the Point podcast was also trying to make inquiries. The true crime triplets were on high alert and wanted to do a story on it. Beth Hilton, who it turns out was actually related to Paris Hilton, went on a full chirp rampage against the evil podcast, which got the Halloween podcast chirp account suspended. The one thing this unfortunate Halloween podcast had managed to accomplish was bring the whole network together to solve this particularly sinister and offensive crime. All the information they had uncovered got sent directly to George Undertaker. George went over to the Crawlspace studios several days later. He admitted that this was one of the hardest assignments he had, since it was almost impossible to track down the origins of this strange recording. The research and help done by their colleagues and a trusted psychic, George managed to find out who was the dirty trick. "I know it is going to sound crazy," he told Tony as soon as he pulled up at their studio. He got out of the car and brushed a few worms off his boot. There were always so many worms around that place. "It'd be crazy. I'm ready for it." Tony looked around nervously and brushed a thick lock of hair out of his face. Son, he resembled Kennedy with his flowing dark mane. George laughed uncontrollably and approached Tony. "What if I told you a troll was behind this whole thing?" "Did you say a troll, like an internet troll?" Leo took a sip of his coffee. "No, a real troll. You know, the creatures from folklore?" There was a long pause as the crew considered this. "Oh, I know how this sounds." George broke the silence first. "Hear me out, all right? She lived by herself in a remote place. In the nearby town, nobody knew her closely, but everybody referred to her as the troll because she would only venture out at night and lurk the streets like a shadow. Anyone who happened to come across her was terrified of her. Some people say she would whisper quietly under her breath as she passed by. At other times, she would stick a long nail and scratch anyone who happened to walk by a bit too close for her liking." "I don't know, George. It sounds, Tony pulled his phone out of the pocket, wanting to bing his character, who seemed so made up and yet very plausible. "Do you really think it was a troll?" Leo asked as he adjusted his hat. "And how do you know it's a female?" "Well, nobody really knows if those actually exist," George continued. "It could just be people's imaginations. Who knows? I guess the long nails. What, you've never met a lady troll before?" George chuckled, but it was an uneasy one. On blogs and in some posts, people gave her a name. Oh yeah, I see that here. Tony extended the phone towards Leo. Raven. That's fitting. Leo stared at the bright screen in front of him with curiosity. Interesting. Well, you know how we can find her? Here's where we hit a snag, George said, his voice brisk. This Raven, or whomever uploaded it, disappeared 3 years ago, right before Halloween. The whole thing was bizarre, and nobody can explain it. But no one had seen her since. Still, the podcast pops up every year for a short time. So, she is still missing? Someone saw her in the nearby woods a few months ago, George said. But they were never sure because it was a mere shadow, standing by the tree and sharpening its nails. And when the fellow who saw her tried to approach, she seemed to fuse with the tree like a shadow, as if evaporating into thin air. Leo and Tony did not say anything for some time after they hung up the phone. The wind outside picked up, and the day was dull and gray. As the light gave way to darkness, a faint laugh could be heard in the breeze, followed by a quick, erratic whisper. Outside the studio window, a dark shape crawled hurriedly across the glass. As the night fell, a rather large raven landed on the branch by the building and snagged a big worm before flying off into the moonlit sky. Never listen to that Halloween podcast.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much, Cemetery Troll. Great job. Great reading and great writing. Pi Rational writer. Yeah. Wow. Well done.
And we're going to be selling copies of that for $1,700, and that's the paperback version. Proceeds go to Tim Polari's hiking fund. But
I need a big fund. All the equipment. I love hiking now.
You do love hiking. Well done, Danny. Thank you so much for doing this. This was fun. Hopefully you're not too hopefully your voice isn't too affected, because I know you are a professional voice actor and you need to use your voice. If you need any tips on how to keep your voice healthy, Bill Thomas would be more than happy to contribute some of his tips. His voice literally sounds like he ran through a lake of olive oil and came out on the other side and went through the sunshine.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah. I've got hot water with here. That's it.
Oh, very good.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Waiting for me.
Nice. Well, I think did you want to bring on Jared, because he's got some stuff he wants to talk about, and he's got a couple of creepy stories. If anybody else has any like scary stories or whatever, anything that they want to talk about Halloween related, feel free. This is the Halloween special. Oh, there's Jared.
There he is. Jared from Even the Podcast is Afraid is joining us. What's going on?
Nothing. I'm coming to you live from New Baby Room.
New Baby Room. All right.
New Baby Room. That was really good, Danny. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was fun to read. It's a blast. Pi Rationals.
100%. I'm trying to figure out what Tim and Lance are. What are your costumes?
I am someone who put on his girlfriend's makeup, and it turned out to look like I'm dead or I'm anemic.
I was going to go with Jack Nicholson turning into the werewolf.
I'm probably, yeah. I'm at like 40% werewolf level right here.
I'm just a Judge Polari. That's really it. And then the costume kind of morphed during the story, and it's just kind of like an old guy with a judge wig and Tim's hiking hat from The Disappearance of Maura Murray TV show.
Take a hike.
Are you telling me that's not your real hair?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
But those are his real teeth. Those are not wooden teeth.
They are ivory.
Well, I want to get this out of the way. Jared, you were just slammed with like the 17th hurricane. And it looks like everything is still in order at your house. Is everything okay?
Everything is okay. We finally got power back around 6:30 this afternoon. Otherwise, I'd have been coming to you from my phone. But we had power outage. I did not go to sleep until around 4 a.m. We had winds upwards around 87 miles an hour.
Jeez.
So
well, good to see you. Good to see you up and about. Good to see that there's nothing, no significant damage. You have a new show that you've been working on. You've literally put a countdown on Twitter from like January 1st for this show. And I think we're at like 18 days now until your new
18
show.
18 days.
Yep. What is this new show?
The new show that I got coming, it premieres on November 16th. It is Southern Oddities. I won't be having a co-host and it's very different from Even the Podcast is Afraid. So with Even the Podcast is Afraid being the true crime, the comedy, having Nick and Sam with me, this is more a story-driven podcast. I'm going to bring different stories all throughout the South. So all kinds of folklore, paranormal stories, even roadside attractions like roadside oddities. And I'm actually going to do 2 episodes a week, releasing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they're going to be very short episodes. So you get to hear my Southern accent read beautiful stories. But it's very strange stories.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that sounds fun. Southern Oddities. Can't wait to check it out.
Standout episodes, standout stories that are befitting for this All Hallows Eve.
I just got done writing episode 7, and it's on the Alabama White Thing. And the Alabama White Thing is actually a Bigfoot that is predominantly within central and north Alabama, and he is completely white. There's actually different versions of him. Some people have said that he looks like a kangaroo with a cat head. One has put that he is a very lanky Bigfoot and almost looks humanoid or has a face like a human. And then obviously there's other versions of him being the cousin of the Bigfoot from out west. So it's a very interesting tale of how that came to be. And it also depends which county you're in, because typically it's only certain counties. And one of those actually comes out of Elmore County, where I live. And I have my own personal experiences with the Alabama White Thing. And I actually talked about that in episode 7.
Well, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but we want to hear of it. But there's a pressing issue that's going on in the message area right now. Jen wants to know if there's a cat in the baby crib, and then that just derailed everything. Michelle is talking about a cat. Oh, okay. It's a stuffed animal.
Lion.
A lion.
It's a lion.
Yeah,
this is
actually.
Yeah, me
I was
too.
gonna ask that right as soon as I saw it. Yeah.
And then the way you went back to grab
animals.
it, I was like, he probably shouldn't be grabbing a cat like that.
No, just a stuffed lion there.
Well, everyone's disappointed now.
What did Michelle said a baby Bigfoot. Yeah, baby Bigfoot. That's what I should have just let the mystery go on.
So Bigfoot, real?
I believe in Bigfoot. I believe in different paranormal or cryptids. I do believe there are a lot of out there that are not real, such as stuff like the Amityville horror. I don't believe in that. I think that was a concocted hoax to make money. But with Bigfoot, I think with cryptids, especially with Bigfoot or the Chupacabra or anything of that nature, I think there's some truth in it. Especially when it comes to like the Alabama White Thing. It all goes back to the Muskogee people, the Creek Indians. With me being a quarter Creek Indian, and my dad, and my whole dad's side, a bunch of them live on the reservation in Atmore, Alabama. They've always talked about Bigfoot. It's in the folklore. You know, I don't know how you would mix that up with a European settler, but a big hairy 7 to 9 foot monster. But yeah, I do believe in those things. Paranormal, yeah, but I do think there's tons of hoaxes, and I think there needs to be some sort of evidence to get me to sit there and say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and gun-ho look for it. Now, with the Alabama White thing, I do believe in that just because of my own personal experiences with it.
Maybe we should have some kind of hoax police, you know, where it's like a job in this hoax police. They travel wherever they need to figure out, or maybe they have different units and different departments all over the world. And they discuss these hoax. They're on the ground floor, boots on the ground right away. Like the day after something's going on, you get there. What's going on here? How else are we going to figure this out?
So it's almost like Mythbusters, only they don't go to like bust myth. They're like, it's almost like what's that movie, Nightcrawler, with Jake Gyllenhaal, where he's in the van and he's driving around picking up all of these scenes of carnage, and if it bleeds, it leads. So instead of that, just replace it with, oh, somebody called in a Bigfoot sighting, let's go. And then you got to go like when it happens. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. There needs to be some sort of like, and I know there are people out there who are skeptics, and they actually, that's what they do. They try to figure out, is this real or is this not real? Like we just did an episode on Even the Podcast is Afraid on the Lizard Man of Scapor Swamp. And that's been going around since really became prevalent in the 80s. And it all started with the mauling of a car that just happened to be beside a swamp that nobody could figure out why this car was mauled, where this red hair came from, how the car's hood was dented. And the whole thing started with that there's this humanoid lizard man living in the swamp that caused this, and then it caused a huge amount of people saying that they have seen it in several different sightings, even going to say that he loved butter beans. I don't understand that, but no, I do not believe in lizard man.
I was on mute. What's a butter bean?
Oh, dear Jesus. You're going to have to come to the South, Lance.
What? Is it a bean made of butter?
No, it's a bean. It's a little bit, obviously it's green. It's a lighter green, almost like a green to whitish.
Definitely not obvious.
No, it's not obvious it was green.
But you also have black beans.
Well, those are actually black, yeah. And
they're called black beans. But if a black bean was called give me a word, anything like a paper bean, desk bean, yeah.
You say a paper bean?
My point is, I would assume a butter bean would be like white.
That would be
like
paper mache, Lance.
Yeah, I would have assumed a yellow, like a butter color. Yeah,
like a garbanzo bean.
Danny, do you know what a butter bean is?
Never heard of one.
What
I
color
had this conversation with Nick the other day.
I thought a golden yellow. That's what I imagined.
Okay.
Nice.
Chat room.
Does anybody in chat know what a butter bean is?
Tiger Lily says it's a yellowish white bean. It's green, obviously.
It's green. It's like a greenish white bean. I don't know. It's delicious when you mix it with your mashed potatoes.
To be fair, I think the name green bean was already taken too, so they didn't have that one.
Yeah, you can't use green bean twice. You confuse everybody. But supposedly this lizard man liked butter beans and would steal butter beans from Elmer's Butterbean Shack, of all places, on a Browntown Road. Yeah. So we debunked that. That is completely horseshit.
Was it a real person doing this? Is that what was going on?
Nobody knows. Nobody
Yeah.
knows. They do have some, evidence and stuff that they've collected, but they still can't explain what caused it.
Well, it's just going to have to go down in the annals of time in the folklore of everything involving missing beans, missing garbanzo beans, missing lima beans, kidney beans, and now the strange and terrifying tale of the butterbean.
The butterbean, the great butterbean.
The great butterbean.
Yeah. Okay. So y'all ever come to the South? You ever come down here? You're gonna get butter beans, just like I told Nick, because Nick's like, "What the hell's a butter bean?"
Give me grits every single time I go to the South. My God, I
love grits.
I love grits.
And I got those in the cabinet.
Give me grits. Throw them through the computer screen.
Mail them some grits.
What about shrimp and grits?
I never had that. I think I've only really had grits for breakfast, actually, though. But every breakfast I have in the South.
You can do a lot with grits.
Tim loves grits. Tim shrimp and grits. He would love butter beans and grits.
Green beans and grits.
Green beans and grits. Any bean. He would do a bean medley.
Oh, Esther Hilton doesn't know what a grit is.
A grit is the equivalent. What would be the equivalent in Britain?
It's like rice, I guess, right, or something like that. Wait, what do you think?
Porridge?
Yeah, porridge. Okay, polenta, cornmeal. Yeah, there you go. It's so good.
It is. Grits are amazing. Grits are amazing. Mix them in with your eggs. Put some bacon in it.
As you're saying, it's vile. So you said you had a story that you fought the white thing. You fought him?
No, I didn't fight him.
I thought you said you wrestled him.
No. You know what? If he wanted to wrestle, I'd run.
You shot him with a bow and arrow? That's what it was, I think.
Oh, I thought he said wrestle, but I guess he said shot with bow and arrow.
I put him in a headlock.
Okay, so we have a confirmed headlock.
No, the personal encounters I've had one where that happened on, I know y'all not going to know the roads. There are roads in Alabama. It's Highway 14 leading up to Tallahassee, Alabama. Now, this road is a very dark road. It's very long. It's a lot of trees. And this happened, I was in 10th grade. So it's been a long time ago. I was in the 10th grade. I had just picked up my sister from cheerleading. She used to do top dog cheerleading. She used to do competition on ESPN. And so I picked her up from her practice around 8 o'clock at night. We're driving up to Tallahassee I'm going to drop her off to my mother. And we get close to a road called Jug Factory Road. And right off to the right side of the road, we see this big white looking creature, whatever it was, around 7 to 8 feet tall. And it literally walks from the side of the road into the woods. My sister lets out this huge scream. And I hit the gas pedal like, screw this shit. Go. We tell my mother about it. And of course she says it's got to be some big pile of white garbage bags. And I'm like, then we got a bigger issue that we got trash bags walking around the woods in Alabama. But I came back through and there's no white trash bags. There was nothing there that was white on my way back from dropping my sister off. So that is something I can't explain. And I do know the story of the Alabama white thing. So that's the only thing I can explain that white creature to be.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I got hung up on the name of the road.
The first thing you said. Yeah. Can you describe the beast again?
He is 7 to 8. Do you want my description of him or do you want the actual what everybody?
I want you to describe what you saw again, what you and your sister saw.
It was a big, tall, white creature that was covered in solid white, looked like fur or hair, about 7 to 8 feet tall, that literally walked on 2 legs from the side of the road into the woods.
So far, that's describing Tim as a judge.
Yeah, I don't have my robe on, but it's basically me.
Well, see, this thing also has the same thing, just like a Bigfoot. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever heard that a Bigfoot typically sounds like a woman screaming in distress. You ever heard that before?
I've heard the knocks. I've heard the like that thing.
The what?
Do that again, Tim.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, Bigfoot, supposedly the noise that they make is it sounds like a woman screaming in distress. When I was in the 9th grade, we stayed in an area called B14 up here in my hometown of Slapout, Alabama, also known as Hopeful, Alabama. And I went with a few of my buddies from school, and we stayed in a little peninsula that is surrounded by a creek, about knee-deep creek around the actual peninsula of where we camped. Well, we heard this loud scream that was like a woman in distress. We heard it 3 or 4 times the first time we went camping. So we went back and we said, we're going to go camp in the same spot again. Lo and behold, we heard it again. We heard it every single time we went camping. And I even looked into, was it a bobcat? Because a bobcat also has kind of the same type of distress type of scream.
Tim does a good impersonation of that too.
And it didn't sound like a bobcat. So I can't explain it. It was very loud, like it was hurt your ears.
Bobcat. Did you for special effects during the story, Tim? That's been perfect.
It sounded exactly like that.
Man, I feel bad that I didn't let you in on the story. We all could have rehearsed, and you could have done like audio drops or crickets. That's like a cell phone ringing.
I was fixing to say that sounds like a Nokia.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting hung up on the names, Jared. I'm not gonna lie. You were from Slapout, Alabama.
Slapout, Alabama. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
The chat room is talking about foxes or fisher cats, and I've heard a fisher cat scream.
Fisher cats are nasty.
And I will say that sounds like a baby crying in the middle of the street, and it's like, wait, what is that's not.
This is
that's
very
not really
much
happening.
in a horror movie when you hear a woman screaming, running from the killer, the monster, or whatever it is. That's the sound you hear.
Okay, like the character in Texas Chainsaw. Wait, here we go. Perhaps it was actually a woman screaming. Did you think about that? That maybe we should go look for whoever's in danger.
Interesting enough, those woods have a lot of weird shit in them. I'm not going to go into the real backstory because it's shit that I don't want to talk about with those woods. But we have found to
talk about it.
Yeah,
it's not in the woods.
Predominantly, the town that I live in is a small rural town, obviously with the name like fucking Slapout.
Is there a juror there?
A what?
A juror?
No.
A rural juror?
Rural juror.
Okay, sorry, go on.
You have a caution light. But in these woods, it has a lot of history. Up here has a lot to do with the civil rights history as well, and hate crimes from the Ku Klux Klan. And those woods were used for those hate crimes. And so in those woods, you will find cars that you don't know why they're there. And I'm talking cars from 30s, 40s, several. You will find shoes, tons. We have found tons of shoes that are from the 1930s, 40s, and the 50s. Those woods. We have found tombstones out there. The tombstones, one of the weird tombstones that we found was one of a woman named Bonnie Brown. And the tombstone was completely split in half between her first and her last name. We found one piece of her tombstone in one section of the woods, and we found the other piece in another section of the woods. Can't figure out who this woman is or why this tombstone just happened to be split between her first and her last name spread out in the woods.
It could be just jerky kids, playing a trick,
and this is a vast amount of wood.
What a crazy area. Wow.
Yeah, it has a lot of history, a lot of darker history those woods have. And that is also the woods with what we call the Alabama white thing up here, the B14 monster, because it's in the B14 area of Slapout. Yeah.
I thought I was going to get more fun stories about the woods, but it was kind of a downer there. Sorry. I
told you I didn't want to talk about it.
I thought it had to do with you. I thought you went in there and saw something, and it was too disturbing. But
look, I've seen a lot of weird things in those woods. I wouldn't go camping in those woods by myself. There's too many weird things. Are you ripping
dip right now?
Huh?
Are you ripping dip right now?
Alabama.
Ripping.
He just said ripping. Yeah. Okay. This has been a habit since I was 13.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's Alabama. It's the South. What do you expect?
I've had many habits that I continue on since I was 13. Mostly just one habit.
Oh, man.
I gotta reapply.
Talking about podcasting, right?
Lance has been podcasting since he was 13.
I've been doing something behind the microphone since I was 13.
Well, anyone have any ghost stories to share? I think did Jen say she has a ghost story?
She has a cat ghost story.
A cat ghost story.
A ghost cat.
A ghost cat.
I think that's what she said. Yeah.
And a kidnapping story. Okay.
Oh, that's right. The kidnapping story.
Okay. Let's hear from Jen. I can hop off here and
I'll hop off so you two can stay on and Jen can take my spot.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Danny, thank you so much. Everybody
thank you.
Everybody listen to A Brief Love Memoir of a Cemetery Troll. Danny does the voice of the cemetery troll. It's a very fun story. It's not one of the typical Pi Rational downers. Not saying that they're all downers, but they are fucking depressing. But the cemetery troll is a wonderful character that we hope to bring back in future episodes. Maybe there'll be a sequel or something. But listen to that. And thank you so much, Danny. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Happy Halloween, and thanks for having me on here tonight. Thank you, Pi, for writing that awesome story, and it's been a blast. So looking forward to seeing you all again in the future.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Danny.
All right, good night.
We really appreciate it.
Have a good one, Danny.
Story too.
And his voice in that story is way better than my art.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Jared does. I hope you understood the reference there to you in that story.
Yeah, I'm Josh now.
You're Josh from Even the Podcast is Slightly Timid. Hop on, Jen.
I'm Tony from Crawlspace, right? That's okay. That's cool.
Tony. I'd rather have the name Tony.
Ooh. Did you get the reference
Tony,
of ooh.
Which hat?
Well, my hat looks huge.
It's huge.
Yes. What's up, Jen?
It looks like Maria's hat from The Sound of Music. Do you remember that?
I missed the Halloween memo.
No.
I did too, but I went quickly looking in the closet behind this hat. I did not get the memo.
Here, we'll change it up. Now I'm Halloween.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Tim,
here we go.
Did you get the reference to Newton the dog?
I don't think I heard it at the time. No, I didn't. I'm pretty sure a lot of things probably went over my head at the time.
Well, I'll forward you the PDF
Yeah.
of it. So your character has a Doberman, which is a giant dog named Newton, which is the Patriots' new quarterback.
Right, which is a take on my current dog, who's not big, and her name is Brady, after the Patriots' old quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How did we get on sports? This is a Halloween.
I'm going to be honest. I am college football. I don't do much NFL.
I don't get it.
Grits and college football. Okay, Jen, let's hear your stories.
Okay, I'll start off with a cat story. It's not that great of a story, but it's my only real encounter with a ghost. I had a cat growing up in my childhood home that disappeared during a week of rain, a very torrid rainstorm, and it never came home. And then, respectively, each person in my family started to feel like a pressure on the bed, and our feet would go to sleep, like as if the cat was laying on your leg or something. Sometimes my door would brush open, and then I'd feel like a little jump on the bed. But it was pretty cute. Not a scary ghost.
That is adorable. And Michelle's crying. Michelle's definitely crying.
Yeah, it was super cute. And then we got like a live cat, and the ghost cat disappeared. So maybe it was just there to like keep us company until we got a new cat.
You should have tested out doing the little cat treats, because I know those are crack the cat.
That's true.
Shake that to see if the ghost would come.
Do ghost cats eat treats?
I don't know. Maybe they eat ectoplasm. I don't know.
Maybe you should have done do the laser, like the laser pointer. Ghost cat would chase it.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd have been amazing if a shadow would have shown up and just.
Ooh, man.
Right.
Or the pressure
Missed
lets up
opportunity.
from your legs on the bed. Yeah.
Or you run it through like a bookshelf and all the books go flying off because the cat's trying to get in it.
Yeah, I wish I thought of these things as a kid.
Well,
Esther says ghosts don't have digestive systems, Jared. And yeah.
How do you know? How do you know they don't eat ghost food? Like, what if they have a ghost McDonald's?
That's true.
We can't see the ghost McDonald's because it's in Ghostland.
Box says ghost cat equals clean litter box. That is very true.
Very true.
Yes.
No litter box, arguably.
I think I would just put one out of respect.
Just acknowledge
Those are real, Esther. They are real.
So the ghost cat would know, like, I still cared about it. So you have a very scary story about almost getting kidnapped or
Yeah, I do. This is like not as cute as the ghost cat story. And I will remove my large hat for the story.
Should we all take our hats off for it?
Yes, take your hats off in respect.
I have a giant forehead. I'm sorry.
Beautiful forehead. It's okay. All right. So, like all good ghost stories or horror stories, this one takes place at summer camp. So back in the summer of 2004, I believe. Well, I should preface by saying that my parents were divorced, and my dad would get me during summer, so I'd have to inevitably spend the whole summer with him wherever he was for that summer. He's a tennis coach, and he was working at this golf and tennis camp up in Maine. So it was a summer camp for kids. They would go there and like learn how to play these sports or whatever. And so I was there for the whole summer, and I was a CIT, like a counselor in training, and tried to be good friends with the older counselors and got to know them pretty well throughout the summer, with the exception of one counselor. And it was a woman, and her name was Amber. I won't give her last name, but she was just a little strange. She was super quiet. She kept to herself. I didn't know anything about her. I barely exchanged a word with her the entire summer. So come the end of the summer, I needed to catch a flight back to my mother's house in Pennsylvania. And my dad, for whatever reason, couldn't drive me because the nearest airport was all the way in Boston. So he asked for volunteers amongst the counselors who would wake up super early and drive me to the Boston airport. And lo and behold, Amber volunteers. which was kind of strange, but maybe she just wanted a nice little vacation away from camp in Boston. So I woke up super early, around probably 4:30 in the morning, and got into Amber's car. And since it was so early, I promptly fell asleep in the passenger seat. I had my duffel bag in the back seat, and we were both dressed in our camp uniforms. We had like little emblems on our shirt and stuff. So I'm sleeping for the, I think, 3.5 hours it took to get to Boston. And when I wake up in the back parking lot of a Salvation Army on the outskirts of Boston. And I had no idea why we were there. She was supposed to be taking me to the airport. So I got a little freaked out, but my hackles weren't totally raised yet. I mean, I was 14. I didn't really know to be suspicious of a person, especially a woman. And so I asked her, I was like, Amber, what are we doing here? And she's like, well, I thought we'd do some shopping since we're early. I was like, okay, sure. So we go into the Salvation Army, and Amber proceeds to pick out a whole new outfit for herself, and she picks out a whole new outfit for me. And I was like, I don't need any clothes. Like, I've got my duffel bag in the car. And she's like, no, let me treat you to an outfit. And I was like, no, it's fine. I don't need clothes. It's cool. But she proceeded to change out of her camp uniform and put a new set of clothes on. And by this point, my imagination started running a bit, and I was like, what if this person is trying to take me and she doesn't want to be recognized by her camp uniform? And so we go to pay for the clothes, and stupidly, I pretended I had this like little pouch full of change, and I pretended to spill the change all over the floor. So I guess like the cashier would remember me or something. I'm not entirely sure. So we get out of the Salvation Army and walk back to her car, and I just had this like desperate sinking feeling that something was really, really wrong, and I did not want to get back in that car. But I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. Like, I couldn't just like not go with her. This was my ride to the airport. So I got back in the car, and as we're driving along the highway, I happened to glance in the back seat of the car, making a plan to like grab my bag as soon as we got to the airport. And in the back seat, tucked right under the driver's seat, was a rope, a weight, and a glove. And so I got super scared. And we made it to the airport, and she drove into the parking garage, I guess maybe to like get the car on camera or something, and then drove all the way up a bunch of levels in the parking garage, past where there was parking available, like all the way up to the almost top of the parking garage. And as soon as that car pulled to a stop, I just grabbed my bag and got out and ran as fast as I could into the elevator, and there was people in there. So I just never saw her again after that. Fast forward to 6 months later, I'm at my mom's house in Pennsylvania, and I receive a package in the mail. And in the package was a copy of Into the Wild. And so I opened the book, and there was an inscription in the book, and it said, "Dear Jen, this book changed my life. I hope it changes yours. Love, Amber." And that's the last I've ever heard of her. I have no idea what the fuck that was.
Holy shit.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say, this is a holy shit moment for the day.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So some questions flooding in through the chat room. Did you tell your parents about this?
Yeah, I told my dad about it. He kind of wrote it off. He's like, it's probably nothing. But I called him recently, like trying to recount this story, because I know I had told him at the time. He was like, oh yeah, Amber, I don't actually remember hiring her. And I can't find her on the internet either.
Did you keep
the book? You sleuths.
So you know her name and everything?
What?
You know her full name and everything?
Yeah, I do.
Have you looked her up and everything?
Yeah, can't find her.
How have we
you
not
can't find
this before?
What about even
What's
your? I know. How come you haven't told us about this?
We never would have fired you.
The Halloween special.
You've looked this person up in our, the background searching. You have, yeah.
Yeah, there's people with her name, but none that have social media profiles attached to it that I can like definitively say that's that person.
Nothing with a background of being arrested or any
No,
kind of.
no criminal record.
Wow.
So she brought you to like the roof of the airport garage?
Yeah,
Like-
just the level below the roof.
Okay. So but a secluded area. And then as soon as she stopped, you just took off.
Just booked it.
Good instincts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow.
I had an overactive imagination. So maybe it was totally like innocuous. I don't know.
We do have a lot of good podcast names or just names that are coming up here. Amber Alert, that's a good name. Finding Amber, Bill Thomas. Amber Alert was Rebecca. Finding Amber was Bill. Yeah, Bill Thomas. Amber Waves of Insane, that's a good one. Arresting Amber.
These are all amazing.
Amber is canceled.
So tell me more about what you saw in the back seat. You said under the.
Yeah, so there was like a coil of rope, like you would use on a boat, like that kind of rope. And there was like
It was like a nylon style rope.
Yeah, not a whole lot of it, just
Just enough to tie your hands up.
yeah. And then there was like, I don't know what you would use it for. It looked like an anvil, like a little tiny anvil.
Okay.
Well, technically, my grandfather and my uncle both built boats for a living. With a nylon rope and a weight, you typically use that to tie up to a boat to anchor, or anchor something.
So she was a boater.
Right.
Possibly.
Oh, yeah.
Maine.
There's tons of
Maine's
lakes
got a
in
huge
Maine.
coast.
What else
Yeah.
was in there? You said a rope and a weight.
And a glove.
And a
Just the
glove.
single glove I saw.
Just
There
one
might have been
glove.
another one. Just she was Michael Jackson.
Yeah, she's not OJ. She's Michael in this one.
Yeah, right.
So wow. So the chat room is blowing up. They say that this wasn't this was definitely a devious plan. Greg says a boating murderer. So yeah.
It is odd how she took you to get the clothes, to switch out of the clothes she was in, which could have been to lead off, or if something did happen, something would happen on those clothes with that, whatever would have happened, and then she could have switched back over and got rid of the other clothes, and there wouldn't be nothing on the camp gear that she was wearing.
Yeah, totally. But if like she was planning this and she had those supplies in the backseat of the car, like wouldn't she have brought an extra change of clothes? It just seemed strange to like stop at a Salvation Army where someone could see us.
I also think going actually to the airport, this was the actual parking lot at Logan Airport.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's got to be cameras there. And I mean, there's plenty of like shady lots near Logan Airport that you can just stop in.
There's nothing shady in East Boston, Tim.
Hey, I've read on
the name of the camp is Maine Golf and Tennis Academy, but I think it's under something different now.
Wow. Jared asked a question and I didn't answer. He asked if you still have the book.
Yeah, somewhere. I think I have it in the attic of my mom's house.
Oh my
Did
God.
you read it?
Totally. It was great.
What do you think the message was for you from Amber?
I don't like maybe this is like a thing that might relate to the whole story about Amber, but she was also a lesbian and like very involved in that scene, and I'm gay too, so I wasn't out obviously when I was 14. I had no idea, but like maybe she wanted to like take me away to a new life or like go live in the woods or something, or maybe like a finding yourself sort of thing.
I feel like there would probably be a more polite or appropriate way to go about it than just a little subtle.
Take me to the Isle of Lesbos.
I think the message was when you got the book is bitch be crazy.
Wow, what a story. Yeah. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's one of those like really unexplainable ones.
Yeah.
I'd love to have the opportunity to see an interview between you and her. We should get her on Crawlspace.
Yeah. Amber, if you're listening, which I know you are.
Well, that'd be creepy if she was. So then you've looked her up and no criminal record since this event or anything crazy?
No, the only thing I could find was that there's a person of that name who was a cop in Florida, and I think she was from Florida originally, so she might be a cop now.
Amber might be a cop.
Yeah.
Like Detective Amber. Wow.
Detective Amber.
Bill Thomas had a comment here. Lesbian tennis coaches? Never heard of such a thing. Bill.
She was a golf instructor. Way different.
And a boater. And she boated.
Well, that means if she's a cop, you need to be looking at the Marine Police.
Damn.
Lesbian cops.
Yikes.
Yeah, everything's a trope.
Wow. Well, you have good instincts. The whole spilling the coins at the Salvation Army was pretty clever.
What was I thinking? I don't know.
I mean, I think the chat room backed you up. No. I think the chat room backed you up there fully as that being a good instinct to make yourself memorable. I think that really, really legitimately was a good instinct.
Yeah, maybe like if she did like abscond with me or something, they would have remembered my face.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. When did this happen? What year?
2004, around.
2004. Damn.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. You guys are so nice.
Well, we're going to have to initiate the new plan of what was that?
Charge for psychotherapy?
No. We're going to initiate the plan of sending you undercover to find her again. And
right?
Yes, and befriend her and wear a mic the whole time. But
oh my God,
you'll have to wear a disguise, maybe your witch hat, and so that like then you can pull it off and reveal that it's you. Yes, and
I've got a wig for you.
The wig, the witch hat, and a little finger.
I'll let you borrow this.
Yeah, it's really realistic, Jen. You just kind of gotta like pull it down in the back.
She'll never know.
Yeah. Okay, we got a new guest on.
Pull it down.
We have a new guest, this white-haired gentleman. Oh, no, that is Tim. Never mind.
No. This is Judge Polari.
Oh, Judge Polari, the Honorable Judge Polari. Court is back in session. Judge Polari, how would you have determined in the case of... the case of Little Jen versus Amber, the kidnapper? What's your verdict?
Lock her up. Lock Amber up. Throw away the key. No, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'd like to have a good long talk with her and find out what her intentions were.
Me too.
Wow. We gotta find her.
I got you a TV show name for it. If you find her, you call it Arrested Amber Velleman.
And he's already made the logo.
Yeah.
That's done right here.
Yeah, it's already done. It's going to be his virtual background in like 3 seconds.
I love that.
Well, this has been a lot of fun tonight, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Enjoy.
Southern Oddities. We didn't even announce it's part of the Crawlspace family.
Oh, yes. Well, Southern Oddities is a new addition to the Crawlspace Media Network. I guess I thought that was just obvious. It is part of the Crawlspace Media Network, and we welcome it with open arms. It is a very unique show. I kind of think about it like those weird New Jersey or weird New Hampshire, those books only in audio form. And really, I just want to have something on the network and correct me or stop me if I'm out of line here. I just want to show on the network that goes toe to toe with that stupid Aaron Mahnke and his stupid lore show and his.
I actually got compared.
Curiosities. No one's curious.
I let somebody listen to it, and Lance, they compared me to Don Wildman. And they said it sounded like Ripley's Believe It or Not show.
Oh, Don Wildman is...
I took that. I was like, thank you.
More like Don Mildman compared to you. There we go. Oh, damn. Tim is back.
Tim's got mosquitoes.
Just wanted to pop on my mosquito mask. Complete my...
He's got skeeters.
Outfit from The Disappearance of Maura Murray. The sweater.
Might be trapped.
I just need one water bottle.
Yeah, just one water bottle. Why isn't that a costume? When that happened in 2017 and that aired before Halloween, I thought that was going to be the big costume of the year. Hiker Tim with the take a hike.
I thought you were about to say the skeeter mask. I was about to say.
It is a mosquito bug mask. Yeah, I don't want any bugs on my face.
I've never called them a skeeter.
A speeder mask.
Welcome to the South.
Well, I don't understand why Esther's asking why am I suffocating myself? What do you mean?
It's the makeup.
Oh, she meant Tim. Okay.
Am I suffocating myself? Why? Because of this?
It looks a little tight around the neck.
Oh, it's not at all, actually. It's not really at all.
Well, you don't want the skeeters to go up underneath.
Yeah, well, that's true, too. I mean, I could tuck it in.
That
maybe. I don't know.
He does, and then... Well, never mind.
Okay, everybody.
Hey, you want to hear something crazy? This time next week... Okay, I'm going to take a quick poll. This time next week, will we know for sure who our next president is?
No, absolutely not.
Or where will we all be like, what the fuck is going on?
We're not going to know anything for like weeks.
The chat room 2020 started. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could have done a Halloween show just on occurrences of 2020. Like, I mean, the first thing, do you remember the first thing that you were like, this sucks? Do you remember the first thing that happened in 2020 where you were like, wow, that
30th
sucks?
Birthday.
Coronavirus.
I mean, besides the birthday and coronavirus.
No.
I think for me, it was, I think Kobe Bryant died in January. And I was like, that's really, that really hit a nerve.
Yeah. That was rough.
And then from there, all downhill. That was like the end of January, I think. It's today's Shannon's birthday. No, today's not Shannon's birthday, is it?
Really?
It is. Happy birthday, Shannon. Oh, tomorrow.
Oh, man. Happy birthday.
How cool that you're born so close to Halloween.
Yes. That's awesome. I wish I was born on Halloween.
You're probably a witch.
Says the witch.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight, joining in, listening, talking. This was fun. Interacting. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, good times. Good times. Just kicking back with some friends on a Thursday night when the church bells toll 9. I know I'll be in good company.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
All right. Don't forget to vote.
Yes, please go vote. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.